Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. Yay, Friday, August 12th, and this is a look at your watch list and kind of a little market wrap up for the week. So, and I'm probably going to cough on you. I apologize. My cough returned this morning because apparently it loves me so much. Okay, so here's a look at our SPY weekly. And the reason, I go to the weekly charts a lot, and some people look at it like, well, that's just, it's too big of a range, but here's the thing about weekly candles. They smooth everything out, and it kind of gives you a better picture of the overall market, whereas day to day, sometimes you get lost in the details. And it's important to know, if you're standing in the middle of the forest, the big picture and not just the tree you're about to walk into because you're looking down at your cell phone. See, jokes. I've got jokes this morning. But anyway, this is a look at the SPY weekly. And these two lines here that we had, this was the channel that we had a tough time kind of breaking out of before, especially this one here around just above 415. That was a real level that we hit 4 times before making our way through. And on the weekly, you can see that we've put in a nice little uptrend, and we finally broke out and put in a higher high on the week compared to this resistance area. And those are important things to pay attention to. We've been able to stay now above the 20. We are holding, as of now, we are holding above the 34. We have a long day ahead of us, considering we haven't even started the trading session here. But it does look, the SPY ended up closing flat yesterday after a bullish gap that we put in a couple days ago, put in a bullish gap, and we've held that gap on some good volume. So like the overall look in here, and we are starting out the morning with a little bit of green. The Dow open looks to be about 135 right now. The NASDAQ up about 74-ish. So nice little look here going into the day. Now it's Friday, so we could see some profit taking. But as of right now, this weekly candle is giving us several weeks of bullish action. And I prefer these kind of smaller candles versus the real big ones, simply because it means that there's more churning inside of there. Kind of gives us a sense that it's a little bit more secure than the whippiness that we see. So overall, we are looking pretty nice here going into the end of the week. Again, this can all certainly change. We've seen that. So here's a look at the futures. You can see here where we're sitting, still climbing up this line. So what I would do now on this is maybe do something like this. Right, it's not exact, but kind of, can we break above this trend line now and make the move up? That would be our next level. I'm going to go ahead and take these two lines out for now because it just makes it a little messy. And, if you've ever been in my house, you know I don't like messy. All right, so that's what we look like here on the SPY. The NASDAQ had a little bit more price action yesterday and actually ended up closing red, but we are at a pretty decent level right here. I think over this 13,420 is where I would look to move through and hold above now on the NASDAQ. This is the NASDAQ 100 futures. So that's what that is looking like. Real quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually made a little move here. We are holding above the 50. Now this 50 is way down, right? I mean, we were up at 48,000 here back in March, and it has just been big steps down. Looks like maybe we've made a little base down here. Hopefully, for those that are into the crypto, it does look like we have a nice, just a nice base, right? A lot of buying and selling in this area, right, all the way down. So looks like a little base put in here, and I would, if you enter it, I think I would use the 50 as a stop. But look, we are just now trying to sneak the 20 over the 50. That is a nice move in Bitcoin. Yesterday I entered Oxy, and oil is down a little bit here today. I'm not fussing with it. I'm fine. We are giving back, coming back here. We're sitting right at the 3. And below that 200, but my longer term thesis is still intact. I'm okay with it here. If you are not, you might be able to squeak out with profit still this morning. It was sitting in profit yesterday. Yeah, and Oxy's actually not trending as much lower as the as the overall futures are, commodity futures. Okay, so what am I watching here this morning? Basics, things like that have done fairly well. Look at this chart in Mosaic. I don't know, I hadn't seen it in a while, and I actually was typing something else in, and Mosaic popped up. But look at this. We have this nice convergence of the 20, the 50, and the 200, and that 20 is looking for confirmation, follow through today to pull it up over the 50. So again, that's a very, those are pretty strong moving averages. So I like the look here in Mosaic. On this one, I would look for an entry around 54.76, and if it gets below or touches that 8 EMA is where I would go ahead and step aside. But we have some recent resistance here. You can tell we poked through it yesterday, but you can go all the way back here and see this level right around 54.50 or so is a pretty decent resistance. We're looking for another test and a push up through that level. My targets are 56.17 and then 59.50 there on Mosaic. All right, well, you know, I wouldn't mind taking a trip, so let's take a trip in Expedia. Yes, incredibly beat up like so many other charts here. Kind of looks like a Bitcoin chart. Just look at that fall over fall. But now a very nice base here. We've been able to stay over the 50 for a little bit, and we have the moving averages nicely curled up other than the 50, but we are over that 50. We do have a gap that we worked our way into yesterday. I like the, these are all September, so 9/16. I like the 115 call with an entry around 110.13. I'm going to stop at 109.20 and looking for continuation after the bullish gap that we had here and the squeeze of moving averages. My targets here are 113.98, 114.04, which is where that gap closes, and 118.46. We have a gap here that we fill. We have this gap that we have to work with as well. Okay, and lastly, today's my Amazon day. This is the day I get all my packages. So let's take a look at Amazon. Seriously, not the reason I'm looking at it, but today is the day I get all my Amazon packages. All right, had a nice bullish gap here. We held the gap, even though we sold this down a bit. It was on a little bit lighter volume, but we are at a natural resistance. We're at a fib line just below the 200, looking for Amazon to make its way up and through that area. Test the 200 moving average. I like the Amazon 142 call. I'm going to look to enter around the 140.64 area. I will stop at 138.90. And again, looking to break through here. My targets are that 200 moving average and then 146.67 and 157.92. So, yep, ways up there. All right. Some other bullish looking charts. I swear Apple seems to be on my list every day, but I'll tell you what, Apple has done an amazing job moving on. You might have said that this is an inverted head and shoulders at some point, a little wonky with this gap here, or not gap, but you know, the sideways action here. But look at this, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. All right, so that's the type of action we are looking for. You can't argue that it isn't a channel. We took a little break yesterday, but look for this to come right back around today. Disney, look for some follow through on Disney. Yep, we had a huge gap up from earnings. Even though we pulled back in, we left this gap. So what we want to see is a test of this gap and a move back up. Along with it, you might want to take a little look at Netflix. Yep, it gave us a red day yesterday. A little bit of a pause is not a bad thing. So take a look at Netflix, Carvana as well. Testing this moving average here. You can see nice. We had a very nice long squeeze, and then we fired outside the top of it yesterday, looking to come back to this fib line and push on in Carvana. And semiconductors have been rather weak lately. I keep watching, trying to get an entry, and they just don't seem to hold. But on semiconductor, one of these that I really do like still, I think I talked about it earlier in the week. Take a look at this one and see if it can catch a bid today. I like on semiconductor. And of course, you can go look at like AMD, NVIDIA. All of these gave back some of their gains, recent gains here yesterday. But watch for some follow through to the upside now after that. Like I said, it is Friday, so we could see some profit taking going into the weekend. We have a lot of news coming out from, well, we just have a lot of news. Let's put it that way. Whether political or not, we are seeing a lot of news out of the continued Trump saga. We are also seeing a lot of news out of Russia and Ukraine. Oh, and be cautious with any Chinese names. They are looking to delist several names from the New York Stock Exchange. So might see some weakness, just overall weakness in Chinese names. So take a look at those too and maybe grab some downside plays. All right, that is it for me this morning. I hope you have an awesome day. If you have any questions, reach out. Heather C. at GivingTreeTrading.com.